Hello and welcome back to my channel, Fruitful Lindens, where I teach people how to design, save, and live. Today we are looking at Dave Ramsey's baby step number 4, the issues and solutions that I have for you. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Hopefully you've watched the previous 3 videos so that you're not just kind of joining this in the middle. If you haven't, I'll link them down below so that you can go and watch this first, because this kind of won't make any sense if you haven't seen the first 3 videos. So, and they're pretty short videos. I try to make them like 5 to 7 minutes long, so they're really easy to follow, and I try to provide like some real examples that from my life and the mistakes that I've made, so that you don't have to make the same mistakes as me, because that's just silly. Like, nobody should have to make the same mistakes that other people made, especially if they have the information. So I try to be as transparent and honest as possible about my experiences. So, baby step number 4 is invest 15% of your household income in retirement. It's time to get serious about retirement, no matter your age. Take 15% of your gross household income and start investing it into your retirement. Start with your company's 401k plan and receive the full employer match. Invest the rest into a Roth IRAs, one for you and one for your spouse if you're married. Okay. So I actually don't disagree with this. The issue that I have with this is that this is assuming that if you had a lot of debt in the previous baby steps and it took a long time to get your emergency fund to where it needed to be, and you're just now starting to put in your 401k, you've missed out on so much market growth and so much earnings that it's kind of ridiculous. Even with everything that's happening in the world right now, coronavirus, I have a Roth 401k and I'm still getting positive returns on my 401k. And I think that if the sooner you start, the less you miss out on money that you're just basically leaving on the table, in my opinion. So I do have a little bit of a story time here written down, and I'm just going to read from it because I don't want to miss any of the details. Okay, so I've been told from the very beginning of my career, ever since that I was able to have a 401k, obviously, so like my adult career, that I should start out by putting 10% of my pay towards retirement. And this is advice that I got from my dad, because he says if you get used to living on 90%, you would not miss that money, and it would become normal. And I can attest that this is 100% true. Some of the best advice that I have ever been given, because I have been living on 90% since last May, not this May, not May of 2020, but since last May. And I don't really notice that I'm missing that money. I see that it comes out of my paycheck, but I'm not used to getting that money in my bank account and spending that money. So it's just like, it's no big deal for me. And I think that is the best advice that anybody could have ever given me starting my career. And so I'm really thankful that I have people in my life that are willing to tell me those things and willing to talk with me about finances. And that's what I'm trying to do on YouTube, is talk to you about finances. I know that it's uncomfortable. I know some people don't like talking about it, but there are some things that people need to hear, and people are so ashamed to talk about it. And I feel like there's this really weird barrier in society where you can't talk about how much money you make and that sort of thing. And I've been transparent on my channel from day one. You know how much money I make. If you don't, go back and watch my previous videos, or I'll just tell you I make $55,000 a year. And I don't feel bad saying that. I know that my friends from school are going to see these videos. I know that my friends and family in my personal life are going to see these videos, but I don't think it's weird. I think it's important to gauge where you stand with people in other professions, people within your profession. Sorry, this is like a little bit of a tangent, and it's another video that I want to make about this kind of stigma about talking about your finances, and it's kind of like seen as trashy and unprofessional, and you're not supposed to do it. But I don't understand how you're supposed to grow as a person if you don't understand where you stand, especially like within your own field. Anyways, I will get back to my little story time here. So from day one, I've been putting 10% of my pay into a Roth 401k, and I haven't looked back. That's about $213 every single paycheck that I have never seen in my bank account. And I have no idea that money is missing because I've never experienced it, let's put it that way. But how incredible is that? You know, I've got this account that I check every once in a while just to see how it's doing, if I need to reallocate some of my funds or whatever. But for the most part, I mean, that's just like automatic savings. And 10% may seem like a lot to you, especially if you've already got a 401k and you're only putting in, say, what it takes to get your employer match. But if you start out this way, I promise you, you will never know that that money is gone. So by the time you've reached this baby step number 4, in theory, you should have some extra money floating around. You've paid off all your debt except for the house. You have a healthy emergency fund that you don't have to make monthly payments to anymore unless you want to. And this is the perfect time to increase your retirement investment to 15%. Now, I said that I've been putting in 10%, but I recently upped mine to 11%. And my final personal contribution goal is 15%, and my company in particular does a 5% match. So, total of 20% going into my Roth 401k, and after a couple of years I'll be fully vested, and that money is basically mine, and it'll stay in there until I retire, and I'll be sitting on a good pile of cash for retirement, which is the whole point of having a 401k. So this is the perfect time to increase your investment to 15% because you've got that extra money floating around. It's not time just yet to be living your best life, but you can kind of relax and give yourself some more money, because I guarantee you, if you had a lot of debt like I do, upping it to 15% will not hurt you that much, because at this point you've paid off everything. You don't have, you know, thousands of dollars worth of debt that you're paying for anymore. You'll start living a better life, but not your best life, because you should be saving for retirement. And in my opinion, you should start from the beginning. You should not wait until you've reached baby step number 4 to do this. If you can do this before baby step number 1, you should do it, in my opinion. I don't think that it's smart to wait, because you're missing out. You're literally leaving money on the table that you could gain from this investment account. You're leaving money on the table for potentially several years, and I think that's ridiculous and silly. So please also keep in mind that certain retirement accounts have contribution limits. So depending on how much money you make, your 15% might be over that contribution limit. If that is the case, I encourage you to invest up to, but not exceeding the limit. And that would be amazing, because that means that you are going to be living your absolute best life in retirement, like wealthy, not just like middle class, but like wealthy. If you can reach that limit, because it's a high limit, it's something like $19,000 a year or something like that. Don't quote me. I'm not a CPA. I don't do taxes. I know some things about money and I know some things about taxes, but I'm not a professional. This is not my field. I work in the field of architecture. I just happen to know a lot about money, and I have a lot of experiences. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I just, know some things. So don't quote me on that exact number, but it's a high number. Like, for me personally, there's no way I could reach the limit in a year. But if you're blessed and you make a lot more than me and you reach that limit, just put it up to the limit, but don't exceed it, and you will be golden. And nothing is stopping you from saving the extra money into like a traditional or an online savings account. I've heard people say that there's no such thing as a high yield savings account, and I agree with that to a point, because the interest that you get on those is not very much, but there are some online that are harder to, get your money out of, which is why they're able to offer better interest rates on those. So it's kind of like an investment account, but it's really, really, really low return, but it's still a savings account. It's still your money. It just takes a little bit longer to get it out. So, if you don't have access to a 401k or a company-sponsored retirement program, you are responsible for your own retirement. You need to plan for it and be diligent. And what I mean by that is open a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, depending on what you want, and put something like 15% of your pay in that. Just because your employer doesn't offer you a 401k does not mean that you can't be saving for your retirement. So if you think that, you know, if you use my example where I'd be putting in 15% and my company would match me 5%, so technically I'm getting 20%. If you think that sounds good to you, then save 20%. At this point, if you've paid off all your debt and everything, go ahead and save the 20% into a Roth IRA or whatever you can. Speak to an accountant, speak to your financial advisor, and just get that done and out of the way, because you will need money when you retire. I feel so sad for people when I hear that they're probably never going to be able to retire because they haven't been saving. They've just been spending, debt all over their life, and they have no money saved, and they have to work literally until they die. And I don't mean to be morbid, but that is really, really sad, and that's not the way that I want to live my life. I don't want to see anybody struggle that way, and I just think it's so important to save for your retirement. Okay, so I will scroll down a little bit here and continue explaining how I deal with my 401k. So I am fortunate enough to work for my company, and they give pretty regular pay raises. So I made a deal with myself. I do this all the time. It's weird. Like, I talk to myself, and I'm not ashamed, and I respond and everything. And, you know, if that makes me crazy, that just, you know, makes me crazy. But, for example, if I got a 2 to 3% raise, I'll add another 1% to my 401k up until I've personally reached 20%, or the maximum that I can put in. But for a 4% or more raise, I will add half of that to my 401k. For example, if for a 4% raise, I would contribute 2% more to my 401k, and then I would see that other 2% reflected in my actual paychecks. I have set a total limit of 20% until I can no longer accommodate this due to contribution limits. So what that means is I will personally contribute 20% until I've reached the point where I'm over the IRS limit and I have to reduce it. I know that this is one of the longer videos, but I just think it's so important, and I can't even stress this enough. I know this is a very long step, but it's the most important, and I hope that this helps somebody. Honestly, it really doesn't matter what age you are. You need to start as early as possible. If you see this video today and you don't have something in plan for retirement, you need to go and do it today. I'm not joking. Any money that you have, you know, start right now. Even if you're just getting the employer match. You know, if you don't contribute at least up to what your employer will match, like sometimes you have to put in 6% to get 5%, you need to put in that 6% because you're leaving that 5% money on the table. They're just, you know, doing something else with that money. They're not giving it to you, and it's free money, especially if you've been at your company for a while and you qualify for the employer match. I mean, it's just money that you're leaving on the table, and that is like throwing money in the garbage, to be honest. So I highly recommend saving 10% from the start, but if you haven't been, try to get to that as soon as you can. You may have to wait until after you've paid off all of your debt and everything to get up to that 15%. I know I probably will, or at least wait until I get a raise, but I would at least do the employee match from the get-go before you even start baby step number 1. So that is all for today's video. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. And please like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends about this video if you think it would help them. And I will see you in the next one.